The wealthy never keep their money in a savings account because a savings account is a guaranteed path to losing money, not growing it. A subtle but relentless erosion of purchasing power orchestrated by inflation and missed opportunities. While it feels safe, a savings account is actually one of the riskiest places for wealth if your goal is true financial security and growth, not just short-term liquidity. This isn't just about earning a paltry interest rate. It's about a fundamental difference in how money is understood and utilized. Think about it. For decades, the average savings account has offered interest rates barely above zero, often less than 1%. Meanwhile, inflation, the quiet thief of value, steadily chips away at the buying power of every dollar you hold. What cost $1 5 years ago demands more today, and even more tomorrow. It's like watching a block of ice slowly melt in the sun. It's still water, but its form and utility are diminished. This isn't just an abstract economic theory. It's the lived experience of millions, where the cost of living keeps climbing, and that untouched nest egg in the bank suddenly doesn't stretch as far as it once promised. Analysts, for instance, have pointed out how even national economies, like the UK post-Brexit, can see growth hindered, impacting the value of static money on a grand scale. A lesson that applies to personal finance too. The rich understand that money isn't meant to sit still. It's an active tool, a seed. Parking substantial sums in a savings account is like planting a seed in concrete. It looks secure, it's not going anywhere, but it's doing absolutely nothing to sprout, grow, or bear fruit. They view cash as a temporary holding pattern, a staging ground for its next mission, not its final destination. This isn't greed, it's a recognition of the dynamic nature of capital. Consider the crushing weight of opportunity cost. Every dollar stashed away at 0.5% interest is a dollar that could have been working harder. Imagine two individuals. One, Sarah, meticulously saves every extra penny in a high-yield savings account, proud of her growing balance. The other, Mark, takes that same extra penny and invests it in a diversified portfolio of index funds or a promising startup. Over 10 years, Sarah's money might have grown by a few percentage points, struggling to keep pace with inflation. Mark's, however, benefiting from the power of compounding and market growth, could have doubled, tripled, or even more. The stark reality is that Sarah didn't just earn less, she lost the potential gains Mark realized. She lost the future she could have built. This difference in mindset is profound. For many, a savings account represents security, a psychological comfort blanket against the uncertainties of life. But for the wealthy, true security lies in assets that appreciate, that generate income, and that can outrun inflation. They seek to deploy capital, not just accumulate it. They want their money to breed, to create more money, to form a self-sustaining ecosystem of wealth. This is the bedrock principle of financial independence. They leverage the true power of compounding, but not through meager bank interest. They apply it to investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses. Think of a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but with every rotation, it picks up more snow, gaining momentum and size exponentially. A savings account is a tiny pebble, sitting static. Investment, properly managed, is the accelerating snowball. The longer it rolls, the more dramatic the results, often making early, strategic investment far more impactful than later, larger sums. One common avenue for wealth deployment is real estate. It's not just a place to live. It's an asset that can generate rental income, appreciate in value, and offer significant tax advantages. Imagine buying a property, renting it out, and having tenants pay down your mortgage while the property itself increases in market value. This is a powerful, multifaceted wealth engine, far removed from the static, erosion-prone environment of a savings account. It's not without risk, of course, but the potential for tangible, growing returns far outweighs the nominal safety of cash. Then there are businesses. The wealthy understand that true leverage comes from owning equity in profitable enterprises, whether it's a small local franchise or shares in a multinational corporation. When you own a piece of a business, you're not just collecting interest. You're participating in its growth, its innovations, its profits. You're part owner of a wealth-generating machine. This could be through direct ownership, venture capital, or publicly traded stocks. The returns here can be exponential, reflecting the underlying success and expansion of the business itself. They also harness the strategic use of debt, a concept often misunderstood. While many are taught to fear all debt, the wealthy differentiate between bad debt, like high-interest credit card debt for consumption, and good debt, debt used to acquire income-generating or appreciating assets. They might take out a loan to purchase an investment property, knowing that the rental income will cover the loan payments and the property's appreciation will build equity. This is using someone else's money to make your money grow, a concept alien to the savings-only mentality. Diversification is another key strategy. They don't put all their eggs in one basket, but rather spread their investments across various asset classes to mitigate risk. If one sector declines, others might rise, balancing the overall portfolio. This isn't about avoiding risk entirely, which is impossible in any growth-oriented strategy, but about managing it intelligently. It's a calculated dance between reward and exposure, a far cry from the single, stagnant pool of a savings account. What conversations do the wealthy have with their financial advisors that most people don't? They're not asking, "Where should I park my cash?" They're asking, "How can I optimize my capital for growth, income, and tax efficiency? What are the emerging trends? What sophisticated strategies can minimize my tax burden while maximizing my returns?" These are not questions about safety, they are questions about strategic deployment and acceleration. They are about creating perpetual motion for their money. Tax efficiency is another often overlooked aspect. Certain investment vehicles like IRAs, 401 kiloseconds, or certain trusts, offer significant tax advantages, allowing money to grow tax-deferred or even tax-free. The interest earned in a standard savings account, however small, is typically taxed annually, further diminishing its real value. The wealthy leverage every legal mechanism available to ensure more of their hard-earned money stays with them, rather than flowing to the tax authorities. Ultimately, it boils down to the psychology of scarcity versus abundance. A scarcity mindset often leads to hoarding, to fearing the loss of capital, and thus to keeping it safe in a savings account. An abundance mindset, however, recognizes that true wealth comes from growth, from taking calculated risks, from understanding that money is a tool meant to be used, invested, and grown. It's a fundamental belief that there is always more to be created, not just protected. This understanding of the velocity of money is perhaps the most critical distinction. Money in motion, moving through investments, businesses, and assets, creates more money. Stagnant money, like that in a low-interest savings account, effectively dies a slow, agonizing death by inflation and missed opportunity. It's a liability, not an asset, if your goal is long-term wealth. Now, understand this: the clock is ticking. Every single day your money sits idly in a savings account, it is losing purchasing power. You are effectively paying a hidden tax, not to the government but to inflation. This isn't a future problem, it's happening right now, eroding your efforts, shrinking your security. The shocking truth is that the longer you delay, the steeper the climb becomes, the more difficult it will be to catch up. The vast gulf between the financially free and those perpetually struggling often boils down to this single, urgent realization: money is a tool, not a trophy to be admired from a distance. You have to put it to work, now. The opportunity cost of inaction, right this very moment, could be the difference between a life of financial freedom and a future bound by limitations. This isn't just about getting rich, it's about not getting left behind. This is the irreversible truth.